It's my favorite story about him because of the effort that he put in. Hey, I'm Alex.
And I'm Faiven.
And welcome to Let's Talk About It.
If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel and like this video. Also, we want to get a conversation going, so comment below during the video.
Today we are talking about romance. How important is it in a relationship?
Some of y'all do too much, some of y'all do too little. So let's talk about it. But first, rapid fire.
How important are romantic gestures to you?
Moderately important. Have you ever been, quote unquote, flued out?
Yes.
Nasty.
Should a woman also romance her man?
Yes, absolutely. Goes both ways. What do you think is the most unrealistic thing about rom-coms?
I think the timeline, everything in the rom-coms happens so fast, and that's usually not the case. Is there any gesture of romance that has become too cliche?
Flowers and gifts on a first date. How long did it take for you to feel emotionally safe and secure with your partner?
I don't even want to say because I'm going to get judged, but just know that I felt very safe very quickly.
I don't think you'd get judged because you ended up marrying the person and having kids with the person. And
Okay, on our second date, we said I love you.
You're getting judged a little bit.
Faiven, you said this was a safe space. What kind of romance do you look for when getting to know someone?
Thoughtful romance, not just
performative.
Yeah, not just performative. It has to actually mean something to us as a pair. Why don't you like live bouquets of flowers, you monster?
Because I can't eat them.
What?
I can't eat them.
I'm sorry?
I can eat a chocolate bar. I can't eat flowers.
You that big bag that you need the gift to be edible?
I just like chocolate. Is any kind of romance a turn off for you?
Yeah, I think being too effusive publicly, specifically on the internet. I don't want gushy paragraphs and paragraphs about our love. What's your stance on public displays of affection, also known as PDAs?
I don't mind it. You probably won't catch us slap kissing at the movies, but like, hold my hand, put your arm around me, let's hug. It's okay that people know we love each other. I think there's a balance.
Also, as much as movie tickets cost, I'm watching that movie.
I have a question for you. So you mentioned on the rapid fires that you don't really like performative shows of romance because they're not thoughtful. But if you are in the early stages of dating and getting to know somebody, you know the whole it's the thought that counts thing. Isn't it then better that somebody shows up with a bouquet of flowers because they don't know you yet? Or are you like, nah, nothing is better than something in that case? Don't feel obligated.
Well, I'm not going to punish someone for their natural inclinations. So it's not a demerit if you show up with flowers. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm going to bring it home. I'm going to trim the stems and I'm going to put it in a vase and I'm going to put water in it and it's going to be pretty in my living room. That's great. But first dates are so hit and miss and we don't know anything about each other and we don't know if we're compatible. So there is a huge possibility that we're not going to see each other again.
True.
So if it's a first date, let's just do coffee. Let's just talk for 30 minutes. Let's spend $5 on a latte and go about our business. Like, I don't expect romance from anyone who's not my person.
Okay. Have you ever received something from somebody? I guess we can just continue with the flowers theme and then maybe it fizzled out. Like, do you throw away the flowers because you don't want to see any reminders of them? Or
no, remember the man, the one we don't speak about.
That's a lot we don't speak about.
The one who I'm friends with now, and you guys don't believe us that we regular friends. Her and Joe are both like, no, you not. He sent flowers after the crash and burn.
Okay.
And they were beautiful. And they were in my living room till they died.
Okay.
The flowers ain't hurt me. You did. So
I ain't gonna take it out on this poor innocent bouquet over
exactly.
here.
Would I look like throwing flowers away? I love flowers. Mm-hmm. Flowers are amazing. And I hate that flowers have turned into a apology thing. Like, you can't just send flowers when things are great because you know a girl likes flowers. Yeah. So no, I never take it out on the flowers.
I'm also in favor of romance as a two-way street. However, my husband has looked me in the eye and said, I don't need them. Please don't ever get me flowers. I don't feel bad. Like, you know how for a while the internet was like, men only. What's wrong?
I feel like that's, yeah, it's not a masculine thing for a man to want flowers, but I feel like there's other things you can do for men.
But like at one point in time, I just remember seeing all these posts about like the only time a man gets flowers is when he dies. Like, make sure to give the man in your life flowers or something. Like, do you remember seeing posts like that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Joe was like, "Don't worry about it. Like, I'll take them at the deathbed. No need to give them to me any sooner."
Yeah, everything is sensationalized online, as we
Mm-hmm.
know. I do know a lot of men who like plants and they have plants. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that's cool. It's also a plant is a responsibility, though.
Indeed.
Flowers die within a week or whatever. So you can stretch it to 2 if you're really good about it. But no, I think for men, like romance could be like, say he comes home from work, or if he was like at the church all day or something, he comes home and then like all of a sudden there's like serene music playing, and then there's like his favorite meal, and then the kids magically are gone because you arranged a secret like babysitter and you dressed all naughty or something, like that's romance for like a straight man.
I asked him. I said, because there was this thread on Threads, and they were like, fellas, I honestly want to know, like, we know and see all these posts about what women want and would like. What do you guys need to feel like appreciated and valued, or what's your like idea of romance? And all of them said sex.
So my hypothetical was leading to sex, but hence the dressing naughty. But yeah, I think time and time again you do hear men say they just want food and sex.
Because the programming like is truly different. Like, women typically need other ways to feel connected to lead to sex versus men using sex to connect. So yeah, I don't. Sex to me is not a romantic gesture. So we can get
no.
there eventually.
Yeah. I like kissing.
Mm-hmm.
Like those really good makeouts.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can keep the sex sometimes. It's like, oh, them good kisses. Ugh. Ugh.
I feel like I used to. I don't know if you can relate, but like I kissed way more like as a teenager and in high school. Like it was all about the makeout sessions. I don't know that as an adult I have a desire to kiss that long anymore.
Well,
Like I love a good session, but like also let's cap it.
I think we were only kissing back then because we didn't really know how to do the other part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it comes in with age.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
I don't know, but romance too much too soon. Like there's like, say somebody's meeting you for dinner and then they just happen to walk by a stand and then get a single rose or something, or just that stuff is cute. But like, I think what makes people weary now is love bombing. And when people do too much too soon, you're just overwhelmed with the attention and the energy that you're like, is this too good to be true? And 9 times out of 10, it is.
Yeah.
So, because I mean, I was love bombed, even with the guy who sent me the flowers, who I'm
Yeah.
friends with now. We are friends, by the way. He love bombed me. We were friends before, dated when we were both single, did not work out, and it took a year off. Now we're regular friends again. But like, I think him courting me in the beginning was love bombing. Because he took me to a different state.
Yeah.
The escape rooms.
Yeah. I mean, I understand. I also have trauma from being love bombed to the point where when my husband came along, I was like, what do you mean you want to know about me? You're trying to use this as intel so that you can come into the house and attack me and steal my identity. And he's like, I just want to get to know you. I just want to pick you up and drive you to our date, and be a gentleman. I'm not trying to like find out where you live. But I was like, nah, I'll meet you there. Like I had so much trauma.
Yeah, I understand that. And like, I feel so bad when people take out their fears and aggressions or whatever on the wrong person.
Oh, for sure.
Because it's like they didn't do anything, and some people really are genuine and just want love and just want connection, and you're like, get away from me, whatever. So I get that. I'm glad you didn't tank that situation. And
right.
Like you worked it out with Joe because he's a great husband. But I think also romance needs to keep up with the times, because if someone's asking me on a date, there's no way they're going to get my address. Like, you're not going to pick me up. I'm going to meet you there. Like,
I feel like because of social media and everybody, recording all of the things, we are all kind of doing similar things because everybody's kind of repeating the content that they see out there. It's like everybody is doing a path of rose petals to lead up to a proposal or even to ask to go to prom or homecoming. And I'm like, can somebody try something different somewhere? Can I? And all the shows that I watch, like Love is Blind, Married at First Sight, if I see another rose petal, like if I never see a rose petal again in my life, I will be okay. I would just like to see another gesture somewhere. Anybody, somebody.
Maybe Gen Z will come up with it.
Yes.
Well, they not getting married anyway, and the birth rate is declining, and the end. Civilization was nice
while it lasted.
But I think keeping a relationship alive, it's not just romance that does that. I think mostly it's communication. No.
Yeah. Like my ideas of romance are so practical. I don't require much. I do like the idea of candles, but like you doing something for me, taking something off my plate, like I could swoon over that because you listened. You know how tired I am at the end of the day, and you wanted to just unburden me. You know, the thoughtfulness behind that is so like just sweet to me that it gives me, you know, all the butterflies and feels. I don't really need all of the extra. Like our Valentine's Day was so stressful just because we were trying to get out of the house, and you know, other couple, we're not the only people in the world that have 3 kids, you know, so we're still trying to like date each other and keep our marriage alive and do all the things. But here it was, you know, like, or Valentine's Eve rather, you know, my husband's upset, I'm upset, the baby's screaming in the back because we had to take her with us to the movies, and we were just like, this sucks, you know, like here we are trying to go out on this capitalistic holiday to prove to each other that we love each other. If we are not in a season where this can work and flow effortlessly, then we don't have to go to a movie right now. We can rent it for $20, watch it at home. And also, I don't want my husband to ever feel pressure because he shows me so much that he loves me on every other day of the week that when Valentine's Day comes around, I'm good. I don't need a card. I don't need the flowers. I don't need the chocolate. And I'm also not saying that like, oh, honey, I don't need anything. And then he gives me something and I'm like, oh, you shouldn't have, but you should. Like, I genuinely don't need anything that day. And he was like, I don't know. He didn't even believe me. He was like, this is just something that women say. And I'm like, no, like,
that's funny.
Look how pissed off we are right now. This isn't it, you know?
Yeah. The holidays definitely force people to do things that they wouldn't naturally do. I'm just so glad my family eats food and gathers on holidays, and we took the gifting out of it at least. But a lot of people, like, their relationships can be really rocky if Valentine's Day doesn't go off without a hitch, and they put so much pressure, especially on guys, to like do the box flowers and like the giant teddy bear and the giant thing of chocolate. And I'm like, a lot of it is performative for the internet, not even for their partner, because it's like, look how cool I am, or look at the means I have. I'm just like, that just looked like a waste to me, bro. Like, and the irony of like that married couples, like you're a happily married couple and you're like, please don't do any of this stuff. But the people who are dating and can't even get a commitment are like, you must do all these things for me.
If you can afford it, great. And if you're somebody that really appreciates that stuff, great. But I think anytime you're forcing somebody to do something that's not natural for them, it's a problem. And then also if you're trying to impress a girl, but you can't afford that, well, you know, now you've set an expectation and it's just going to kind of crash and burn because like, in a weird sense, I did the same thing with my daughter. Like every year I was like, all right, the next birthday is going to be bigger, bigger, bigger. Now she's 7, not even like a big, like double-digit birthday. And I'm like, I don't know what else to do with her. We did the iFly, the indoor skydiving. We did a skating rink, hotel, sleepover, swimming pool party. Like we did all the things that I couldn't top it anymore. And I feel like in a similar fashion, people do that in relationships. They just do so much before they're even really committed to each other. And now the girl is expecting more and more and more. And the guy's like, I'm broke.
Wow.
Or,
yeah.
We go Dutch. Or,
I didn't even see that point of view. And I'm realizing as you're talking that like why I don't like the early shows of romance is because we don't know each other yet. We're not in love yet. We're not connected yet. And it just means so much more when, say, you are committed to each other and then you genuinely in the middle of your work day, think of your partner and really love them. You're like, no, let me get on 1-800-Flowers and send her a bouquet. That means so much more and hits so much different than 100% stranger doing something for you. Because then it's giving trick, it's giving simp kind of, it's giving a transactional.
Yeah.
It's giving, oh, this is gonna last for 3 months and that's how long they're gonna hold out to maybe try to get some. But like when you find someone genuine who's actively searching for partnership and then you commit to each other and you love each other, the little moments of joy and gestures that you're not expecting feel so much better.
Oh yeah, 10/10. Highly recommend. Has your perception of what romance is changed over time?
Yeah, I think I wish there was a way to separate our brains from what we've watched. Like, we're just so influenced by television and movies and growing up watching all the princess things that you think, oh, this is the blueprint. Like, if he loves you, he has to, spend all this money on you, take you here and here, like buy you a new wardrobe, pay all your bills, like I don't know, just the most outlandish, unrealistic things are implanted into our brains. So then as you mature and grow and learn what like real love and real commitment is, you strip all that away. And then what am I left with? Just basic kindness and reciprocity and good conversation. Like romance can be a meal in the house with candles and just talking, maybe go even deeper, like a vulnerable conversation. And at the end of that, there might be some tears you have to wipe away, but then you feel so much closer and then you like snuggle on the couch. That's romance to me.
Yeah, I guess as I'm talking to you, creating in moments of intimacy,
yes,
I value more than like the shows of romance. Like Joe and I have several of like those card decks, like the ones for couples, and then we have one that's just like for you to read yourself for like, you know, self-realization and that kind of stuff. But sometimes we read those and then we like kind of answer those prompts together as well. But you know, anything where I feel like I can get to know you deeper, know your heart. Just, you know, those moments of vulnerability, I just value them so much more than flowers.
And that's someone that you're already with, because I was thinking about those cards and I remember I was on a second date with someone who brought the card deck out.
Oh,
and I was like, I wasn't even sure if I liked this person. Our first date was a lot of fun. I wasn't physically attracted to him, but I think bigger picture, you know, none of my people look the same.
Yes.
I don't have a type. Genuinely, I really want to know what's in your soul and how you think and behave and all the things. So I wasn't physically attracted to him, but he had a great personality and we had great conversation. There were genuine laughs and everything. So the second date, we grabbed a bite and then he whips out the deck and I'm like, oh, we're doing this. I feel like if I was attracted to him and there was like mutual chemistry, I wouldn't have gotten the ick. But because deep down I was like, this is not my person, I was like, I don't really want to answer these questions.
Because it's the balance. Like, am I even comfortable enough to want to share? Because those cards go deep.
So deep.
Like, you're not trying to get that vulnerable on the second date. I feel like he would have been better off, because, you know, maybe he wasn't a great conversationalist and he needed that as like a little buffer to help. He was better off maybe looking through the deck in his private time so that he had some go-to questions for you to spark a flow of conversation. But my brain would automatically default to like, is this his thing on every date? He just like pulls this out. Like, can we talk and have a conversation without this?
Yeah, there needs to be nuance in every situation, and the nuance, you need to read the person. You need to know what the vibe even is. If you don't even think the person is connecting with you, which you would probably pick up on if you got rid of your devices, and I'm not even talking about your phone, like any device to aid the date, like the deck of cards, you just actually just are attuned with the person that's like across from you, you would know whether you should whip out the deck or not. And it's too much. It's too much too soon. And that's why we're talking about like timelines in relationships when it comes to romance. Like, when do you do certain gestures? And a lot of it, unfortunately, is not black and white. You really need to read the room.
Yeah. I always appreciate like a home cooked meal because it's the thoughtfulness that goes into it. You just kind of like taking the time to do something for me. I mean, yeah, we can go out to eat too, but if we're at that stage where I don't feel like being led to your home is a trap or anything, and you're like offering to cook for me, that could definitely be like a romantic gesture. Joe did not know how to cook when we first got together. And I remember getting irritated because I went over there the first time, I didn't eat. I don't think he had any food in the fridge either. It's fine. He wasn't necessarily expecting overnight company. Things just happened. But then like the second, third, fourth night, I'm like, all right, dude, like I'm continuing to come over here. You not feeding me. Like at this point, you are not reading the room. Like if you want me to stay here, there needs to be food here. But he wasn't even thinking about that because he wasn't a big food person, and I don't know how he ate or what he ate. So he went downstairs and decided to whip me up like the most protein I've ever had in one sitting. I don't know if he thought I was a bodybuilder or what, but he literally cracked a dozen eggs trying to just get them into the pan. 6 fell on the floor. It was a lot of eggs. A dozen were sacrificed. I think 8 made it onto my plate. And then I had like 5 orange wedges. And I'm like, what do you think I'm training for here? But he wasn't a breakfast guy, and he didn't know how to cook. And it's my favorite story about him because of the effort that he put in.
Yeah.
Like the food was nasty. The plate it was like one of the styrofoam plates was so heavy. It was like cracking in the center because of the weight of all these damn oranges and these eggs. But he tried.
Wow. I always wonder how men eat.
How they survive.
I meet these people, they have jobs, they're kind, and then their fridge is empty. They don't even talk about DoorDash that often either. It's just like, what do you eat? And when do you eat? It's like they're lucky if they get a meal. They all need wives.
I'm constantly thinking about what the next meal. Last night before we went to bed, I said, honey, toast, turkey, bacon, and eggs in the morning. He's like, yep, I'm good with that. Before I even shut my eyes, I knew what I was going to eat for breakfast today.
Yeah. I'm just a food prep girly.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's like, it's such a huge part of life.
Yes.
And people are like, oh, I don't cook and I eat when I eat. Sometimes I forget to eat. I'm like, what?
I'm a foodie though, I guess. So I can't imagine living like that.
I mean, feeding someone is a love language too. The date that I had that was bad, the guy who just sat on the couch watching TV.
Did he cook for you at least?
No, but I need to eat. So I was like, hey, since we have this huge itinerary, not every single meal is going out to eat. I was like, I can make daytime food. And he was like, okay, great. And he asked me what I wanted, and he went and bought the groceries. So I'm like, okay, because you're not a cooker like that, which is totally fine. But that was nice.
That's a good compromise. If you're not going to help, I need you to finance the...
Yeah. And then I whip up bangers all the time. So that's fine too.
You were always willing to cook for your dates.
Ooh, child, we need to talk about this. So don't do what I did.
Steaks. She went out and bought a sample steak so that she knew... You know what? You tell your story.
Cast iron skillet, the rosemary, the butter, the seasoning, the New York strip steak from Paisano's famous butcher shop in New York City. Got all of that, but didn't want to mess it up. So I went ahead and got a cheaper steak and practiced my sear. Also, I could...
Not for her husband. Just throwing that out there. She's practicing steaks
so I can get the sear right for this man who dumped me after 5 months because I didn't like the same music as him.
Do you know how many men she's made risotto for? I just want to also put that out there, that I have stuck by her side, and to this day, I have never had Faiven's risotto. You can romance your friends too, if you really care about them. You know my love language is food. How many times have you heard me say I want something that I can eat over a bouquet of flowers? And how many times have you made me risotto? She don't read the room. Well, the room likes to eat.
I really wanted a man, and they say men like food, and so I was making food for men. It didn't work though.
Because it was too soon.
It was too soon. As soon as the third date, I have made full spreads. But here I was I guess it was disingenuous what I was doing, because I know I cook really well. So it's like I was trying to manipulate the men into being with me because I'm like, look what I can do. Look at the value I have. Maybe I watched too much like Red Pill where they're
I mean, I understand why you did what you did because I also did what you did, but like many years ago after I had Lily. I don't even think she was like 2. She was pretty young. And I just wanted these people to know. I think internally I was like, hey, I'm not just like a baby mama. Like I'm wifey material. Like, look, look what I can make. But doing wifey things for somebody that's not your husband, that's not on track to be your husband, that hasn't really shown you that they are worthy of that kind of effort, I think is never going to end well. And so I did so much of that for the wrong guys that sometimes I still actively today have to remind myself, like, girl, your husband does not have to earn anything. It is okay just to do something nice because you love this man. Like, don't let all those good parts of yourself wither away because you just like wasted it on the wrong people. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think at this point, I acknowledge the sins of the past. It's called growth.
Ah, yes, yes.
And also practice. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Because the way my forearms can just tear up that risotto now, practice. For my husband, I don't regret doing any of those things, but I look back like and kind of cringe that
Oh,
I'm
yes.
like, oh my gosh, I was that insecure that I felt like I had to prove everything to every person. And
Mhm.
I did not even think, do I like them?
Mhm.
I was like, do they like me?
Yes.
I have to make them like me. And I was not assessing anything about them. And a lot of them had these really outlandish deficits that I was ignoring because I'm like, it's a boy. I need one. So crazy. Now I have dialed it back. Obviously, I haven't cooked for anyone in 2 years, maybe.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But the catch is I still whip up my food and post it on the gram and have my smash and pass likes and the polls. So everyone knows I cook. So it's one of those things where you don't have to do it for the guy for him to know you do it. But that's like the type of content I put out there. And I'm like, maybe we can all get a better sense of who we all are if we put more of our skills and our interests out there in an organic way. Because a lot of girls just post really pretty photos of themselves. I couldn't tell you the last time I posted a photo. So I'm like, no, you know what I look like. Everyone knows what I look like by now. But I'm like, I'm a nerd and I'm going to go to Squid Game experience. I'm a nerd. I'm going to go do an escape room. I'm a nerd. Enter any task because that's me. And then it's like, also, I'm cooking and I'm a DIY and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And it just so happened that these are skills that people would value in a partner. If they're like, oh, that's pretty cool that she knows how to do that. But I'm not marketing myself to catch a man. I'm literally just being myself.
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
I think, and I guess this would be a nice little twofer of it's something that's romantic and it's also DIY. Like, those dates where you're like making pottery together. Like, I would love that. My husband thinks that it's like a big eye roll. And I'm like, well, good thing we're having this conversation because I don't. So this is on the list of things to take me to and do with me. He would have never thought to take us on a date there because it's a little bit corny to him.
He ain't seen Ghost?
Probably not. But because he'll do it because I love it. So that's why I love him. But the idea probably would not have come to him otherwise.
Oh, like in some movies, they try to make golfing romantic where the guy tries to like, oh, this is how, and they come up behind you. And I'm just like, what? Like I could never. And I think mini golf one time, someone actually tried to do that. And I was like, you need to stop watching these movies.
Yeah, I think helping me line up my pool stick or coming to help me with the gun, all of that, I would just immediately fall out laughing because I'm like, this is very cliche. Even if I am holding it wrong, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Oh, my gun range experience was insane. We're talking about romance, right?
Yeah.
Blah, blah. I ended up going out with one of the guys in that friend group, and he was the one who was on the couch.
Oh, okay.
He was there.
Yes.
But that's not romantic at all. But what's funny is that he found it endearing. My fear,
You were scared at the gun range?
When I tell you, I shot off one round, and I had to stop. They were like, Faiven, we have several bullets. You can keep shooting. Also, I have 3 different guns for you.
I'm just a
I was
girl.
like, this
No.
I'm not a foot soldier. Y'all do the shooting. But it was like right after the election, and we were all like, we ride at dawn. And I was like, yeah, let's go. Here go my ID. We was like suited and booted. We had the glasses, the
Here we
headphones.
are again after an election.
And I shot it off and I screamed like when the bullet came out. And then I hit the target though. He did. But I was like, oh my God, no. And then, yeah, the guy who actually got the footage of me was the one cracking up and sent me the videos and stuff. And then he's the one that was like, oh, let's go out. So I think he just found it endearing that was my genuine reaction. And that just goes to show that I wasn't just going to take cute photos at the gun range, like, you know what I mean? And just post that and be like, slay, or have some like caption about being like a baddie who shoots. I was just being myself and I didn't have any makeup on. And I was just kind of cute, casual, and just went from there. Just be yourself.
Yeah. Joe and I also went to a gun range. I wouldn't necessarily call it romantic, but it is nice when you can just do things together for the first time as a couple. I cringe a little because I'm like, who planted this idea in my brain? Like, when I tell you, you're going to be like, yeah, that's not you. But, like, you watch like a rom-com or something or whatever, and then the lady opens the door and she's wearing the trench coat, and underneath it is like all the lingerie, like complete with like the thigh-high lacy stockings. So, like, I totally did that for somebody, and it was like raining and cold and freezing, so I couldn't wear the sexy shoes. So I'm wearing like the stockings, but then with like a winter boot, and I have to like transition to my sexy shoe or like, point the toe to like sell it once we get into the house. And I remember telling Joe that story one day, and he was like, I don't need the trench coat, but please feel free to do stuff like that for me. And I'm like, I don't know if I can. Like, but Faiven, what do I look like knocking on somebody's door in a trench coat? Like, housekeeping, like I think I just saw something that was done on TV and I was like, oh, I can do that. I can't.
Don't do too much too soon, and don't do too much for the wrong person.
We want to hear from you. What is your idea of romance, and has it changed over time?
Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe and follow us on Instagram and on TikTok, and we will see you in the next one. Okay.